we will do a question of adding two strings. Probably this is like a Facebook questions, top questions, I guess. It's a very easy question. Has been asked a lot of times, and like basically this is big integer addition. They are saying is that these are two non-negative integers, which is both of them are positive numbers, and basically we have to add them up. Why do we use it is because like if there's really long integers and we add them up, it might cause integer overflow. So for reducing the integer overflow, since the string is basically a really long thing, so we can actually use that. This can also be used when you are doing floating point addition and subtraction. So if you're doing floating point, what happens is like the rounding off might actually cut off some of the values, and if you're doing millions of transactions, there'll be a significant amount of cutoff of the when you're adding or subtracting. So pretty easy, not that difficult. So let's say we are doing 97 plus 23, right? So 7 plus 3 would be 10, so 1 and 0. 9 plus 1 is 10, 10 and 11 and 12. So 1 will be carryover and 2, and then 1 will be carryover over here, right? So that is basically how you do it. It can be, let's say let's say it was 197. So in that case, it will be 1 plus 1, and we'll add carry and plus the number, and the other number is 0. So basically that'll be 1 plus 1, that'll be 2. So that is 220. Right, so that is basically what we have to do. The thing that we have to remember is like if there's a string, this is the index 0 and this is the last index. So basically what we have to start from the last index for both of them and keep going on till we actually reach the first one and the second one. We run out of the first one and the second one, and we have to keep a copy of the we have to keep the copy of the we have to keep the carry of that number. Okay, so let's write the code for this one. And okay, so it'll be public static string, and we'll be add two strings. And another thing to mention over here, it's all positive numbers. If it is actually a negative number, we actually let's say it was minus, that condition is not given in there. We would first figure out if this number is actually a negative number. Then if both of them are negative, we basically like add them up and then do a negative. So those kind of conditions, there'll be conditions over there, but we are not handling those kind of conditions, right? So that's what we are doing. So we are adding two strings. So we'll say str1 comma string str2. We are not doing those kind of condition. There is a person in my office who actually asks this question a lot, and so people still do ask this question, even though it is an old question. So we'll take a string builder. Sv is equal to new string builder builder, and what we will do is we will return sp dot toString. So the error actually goes away. I don't like when there's errors. Okay. So okay, so we are over here. We'll get the length of the first one, we'll get the length of the second one. So we'll say integer length 1 is equal to str1 dot length minus 1. That's the last one. We'll get the index of the first one, and we'll get the index of the last one is equal to str1 dot length minus 1. Okay, we can probably check the conditions over here. If str2 is if the length of str2 is 0, or if the length of str1 is 0, in that case we just return the other one. So because the sum will basically be the same. Okay, so we need a carry. So we'll say carry is equal to 0. At this point it is 0. Right. So we'll say while we are going from the back. So we'll say while length of 1 is greater than or equal to 0. So while that is, we have not run out of the first one, or length of 2 is greater than equal to 0. So we have to take care of both of them. So what we will do is we will say actually we'll say some integer sum is equal to 0. Maybe sum, or maybe actually we can just say result, or we can say sum. Actually we'll say sum. Okay, so we'll say sum is equal to 0, and we'll say if length 1 is greater than equal to 0, what we'll do is we'll add the value of whatever is the string value, we'll add it to this particular sum. So we'll say sum plus is equal to str1 dot character at index length 1. Okay, so we'll get whatever is the character at length 1 and we'll subtract 0 from there. So when we subtract 0, we will actually get the value from there. So so like if we come over here, if we go to ASCII table, so if we go to ASCII table and if we look at where is 0, so 0 is basically 48. So when we say str dot character at length 1, so if it was 0, it would have returned 48. And then we have to so 48 is actually not the value is 0, so we have to subtract 48 minus 48, which is 0. So if it was, let's say 4, its value would have been 52. So 52 minus 48 would have been 4. So that is how this is working. So if length 1 is this, and we basically replicate the same thing for the other one. If length 2 and this will be 2. Okay, so that is good. And then basically when we saw over here 7 plus 3 is equal to 10, so basically whatever is the sum that comes, so sum at this point is 1 and this. So what we will do is we'll say sb dot append, and we will append sum percentage 10. Right, so some percentage 10 will actually give us the value which we want to figure out, and then we'll say sum is equal to sum. If the sum is actually greater than, the carry will always be either 1 or 0. So we'll check if the sum is greater than 9. If the sum is actually greater than 9, in that case it will be equal to, carry would be equal to 1, or in the other one it will be actually equal to 0. So that will be the sum. Initially the sum is equal to 0. So then that part is good, and then we will actually say while length, actually this, we probably don't need this, we'll see. Yeah, so we'll probably don't need this because like it will actually go through both of them, and in the end what we would have to do is we will say check if the sum is greater than 0. So in that case we'll say sb dot append, and we'll append 1. Right, so 1. So at this point we got our value, and then what we have to do is we actually have to reverse the value, because remember it's like the opposite way. So we'll say sb dot reverse dot toString. Okay, so I think this should actually get us the value, which is good. So we will actually write add toStrings, and we'll come over here and we'll say add toStrings, and the string one is, let's say 97, and the second string was 23. Right, and we will actually print this value. So okay, let's just run this and see what happens. So we will I think everything is good. Okay, so we will run and run the main. I don't know why it is so slow. Oh, did I? Oh yeah, it went into infinite loop. So I'll say length 1 minus minus, and length 2 minus minus. Sorry, minus minus. That'll take in the infinite loop. That's what was basically happening. So we'll run this and hopefully compile, and 120, which is the correct value. That is correct. We actually haven't taken care of the negative values, and there are cases when somebody actually so I mean, like, this is pretty easy question. So when somebody solves this, then people start asking what is 19.7 and stuff like that. So that you can actually what you can do is you can calculate the values from the point also. Another question people asked is, like, if it is a b minus c 1 2 7 3 d e. So what you have to do is you have to continue doing this, check if it is negative, get only the integer values, and then get the values out of it. But that's just another loop that you are going through, and stuff like that. So that is another question, which is extremely easy question, but apparently it's asked at Facebook. Okay, thank you.